Okay, so before I get into the main subject, once again, I appear to be having sound issues in these videos. I can hear my own voice, but then, of course, when I play the video, the volume just isn't that high. I've got it at full volume. I've checked the settings. I really don't know what else to do. It just seems to be inconsistent. I've cleared memory space I don't need. So I just hope it's clear enough. So please, I don't want to see any messages like, "Oh, you need to turn the sound up, dude," or something like that, because I know there's a problem. And yeah, like I've said several times, it's beyond my control right now. So please bear with me. Anyway, I'll just talk about the subject at hand, and the subject is Christmas. So, well, specifically the issue of commercialization around Christmas. Now, a few things I want to explain that this video is not. This video is not intended to be a sort of religious message against consumerism or something along religious lines. Rather, it's simply a human observation of I've experienced. I've got all my Christmas shopping out of the way now, and that was a specific decision because I always find it's quite stressful trying to find things at the last minute. So I took a specific decision to get my shopping out of the way. Um, and I always try to get things which I feel people will like. I never spend a fortune, partly because I simply can't afford to. But for me, that is not the main meaning of Christmas. It's about being with family. It's about the spirit of Christmas. Presents are a nice part of it, and I don't decry that tradition at all. I like receiving nice presents, and I like giving presents as well. Um, I also believe that Christmas is overall a good festival in terms of the message it sends out. Nevertheless, it's hard to avoid the fact that sometimes, when you go into a busy shopping center, it can be quite a stressful environment trying to get what you want, especially in a busy atmosphere. I don't have anxiety issues, but I do find it a little stressful when you're carrying heavy bags and the shopping center is busy and you're trying to get through people. It's a bit that side of it I don't like. I also don't like the demand side of things. That is to say, there's a lot of people who work very hard over Christmas. They work long hours, and obviously there's people like nurses and so on who work very long hours. But I'm also talking about people who work in shops, and we often talk about the Christmas spirit and Christmas cheer and so on, but there is this sort of demand culture whereby it's sort of I don't know. I sometimes feel concerned that we lose the human side of things in all of this. Um, Now, obviously, if you work in a shop, it's going to be busy at Christmas time. But sometimes it seems just, I think there's a little bit too much. Uh, it's hard to explain what I mean, but it just seems that we sometimes forget that people are not robots, right? It's like the Black Friday Christmas sales, or I shouldn't say Christmas, it's before Christmas. Um, but I just can't understand why people go so crazy over products. Um, I mean, I suppose there's a logic that they want to be the first ones to get them in case they sell out. But there's no excuse for adults behaving like spoiled brats and, assaulting people because they want to grab something. It's crazy. Adult men and, frankly, adult women just behaving like idiots. Um, I really don't like that. Another thing I don't like about this is that there is a sort of, not so much in my family, but I think there is this culture whereby it's sort of like you have to buy things of a certain value, otherwise you don't care. For me, the whole point about receiving presents has always been about the gesture. So if someone gives me a present, it doesn't matter if it is £5 or £100. The gesture is what counts, and it is something that I always appreciate. I don't understand people who kind of turn their nose up at presents if they don't like them. That's Have the grace and decency to just recognize that someone has given you something when there's people that have nothing in this world. And I'm not, by the way, saying that's the situation in my family. I'm just saying it as a general, statement of fact. Um, Obviously, if I think people should probably get more sentimental things for their boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife. That's different. So, say for example, I don't know, someone got a roll of sellotapes for their partner. I could understand the partner being a bit pissed off, but as a general rule, it shouldn't be about how much the present is, but the gesture. And sometimes something that might only be worth a certain amount in money may be worth more in sentimental value. Say, for example, there's a particular book that someone is really looking for. It may not cost that much. It may be, I don't know, whatever you consider not much to be, let's say £5, £7. But maybe that person's been looking for that book for ages and you find it and you buy it for them. So it isn't the monetary value, it's the gesture. And I never spend a huge amount on presents. And it's not because I'm stingy. Well, partly it's because I simply am not in a very strong financial position. But my family know that. And one thing I like within my family is people are grateful for what they get. They're always, and we do try to make presents mean something. But if I got a present that wasn't particularly sentimental, I'm not going to turn my nose up at it. I'm still going to thank the person. So, say for instance, it was a present that um, maybe was quite common or something. I'm not going to, I just don't understand people who have this ungrateful attitude. It seems common sense to me that when someone gives you something, you say thank you. That just seems polite to me. And I think some people do allow this sort of season to let them become ungrateful for the things in life. So the whole present giving side of it, I do like that a lot. I always like to see what surprises I've got, and I like the process of giving people presents. But we must remember, if this season really is about, positive, the positive human spirit, we shouldn't lose sight of that. So people shouldn't be yelling at assistants in shops. They shouldn't be, turning their nose up at presents. We have to, and also we have to remember that it can seem almost mawkish when we talk about the season of goodwill, when there are people who are going through a really rough time, they're homeless, or maybe they're lonely, maybe they're an elderly person, they're lonely, maybe they're having a difficult time, they're having arguments with the family, maybe they're having anxiety from work. So there are a lot of people that, for whatever reason, may not be in the best of spirits. And I think it can sometimes seem almost mawkish to be so it almost seems like you're rubbing it in people's faces. So when people say they don't particularly like Christmas, I don't think it's because they're being a Grinch or an Ebenezer Scrooge. I think more often than not, it's because they are experiencing some of the issues I've raised. So let me know your thoughts. Is Christmas a big event where you are? I would imagine in most Western countries it is a big event. Um, Even in Asian countries, it's sort of popular with young people, although it's not really a tradition there. I mean, in China, young people still mark it, even though it's not a traditional Chinese festival. Um, of course, needless to say, big companies use all these things as an excuse to make profit, and that's not good or bad. It just is. I'm not socialist, so I'm not anti-wealth, but we can't lose sight of the fact that if this season really is about human spirit, let's remember that. And let's not just judge Christmas by worth, like how much this present costs, how much that present costs, or, putting on a false front to anyone. Let's be decent human beings. Let's enjoy the time with our families, with our friends. And for those who maybe don't have anyone, Um, actually, there was a debate about whether people should be allowed to work on Christmas Day or should work on Christmas Day. I think for some people that is actually a preferable option than being stuck in a flat by themselves. Now, I happen to be going to visit my family. I'm on my own at the moment. If I wasn't visiting my family, would I be lonely? I think it probably would get to me a little bit, simply because it would be hard to avoid the sentimental side of things. But as it turns out, I'm going to visit my family in Scotland anyway. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Let me know your thoughts. Is Christmas becoming something negative? because of the consumerism, because of the demand culture. I mean, also, I'd especially like to hear if you work in a shop, you know, if you work in a busy store over Christmas. I have a lot of sympathy for those people. They work long hours, and I imagine they have to put up with some abuse, just like people who work in airports or train stations. Um, so let me know your thoughts, and thanks for watching. Hopefully, the sound quality won't be too bad.